What a journey. What a journey it's been. Here we are, less than 7 years in this church building now. I remember sitting in Rudy's barbecue, with Dean Pierce all those years in League City, and wondering if, this is what we were supposed to do. Here I was, trained to work port and harbor security in the Port of Houston. That's why we came back home, is to go work in the port. And here we are. Gosh, just a great, great journey, Stace.
Yeah, I can remember talking about that we were going to move to Conroe, and moving wasn't new to us, right? We'd moved a lot every 2 to 4 years for our whole marriage.
That's one thing we knew how to do well.
Yeah, but this time we didn't have that what felt like a safety net that the military was. This was all on faith.
Yeah, no going back.
No, this was all, God didn't give us a housing allowance like the military did to go find a house, right? We just had to step out in faith, and looking back, God was making a way.
Oh, yeah.
All along, and we didn't even know.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what he was doing. And now we have all these building blocks for this building.
The highways and the hedges, right? But here we are in the midst of this metropolitan push into this rural area. God put us in the middle, right, think about it. The trees that are all around us, right? The rural side of 336. And here comes the metropolitan push. Go to the highways and hedges. Compel them to come in so that my house may be full. Like, he saw all of this before we could ever see it.
Yeah. How are you feeling when you realize this was real? We're going to move to Conroe and plant a church from scratch, from the beginning.
I remember being scared.
Yeah.
Like this is scary. Like, what's going to happen if we had family with kids in college? We were like, what are we going to do if it doesn't work? There was no plan B.
It was bigger than the both of us.
We went all in. It had to be. It reminds me of that song "In Over My Head" that I mentioned before, right? Yeah. There was, the floaties are off. We're in the deep end. We're just, we have to fully rely on God to be able to bring this. And it really drives us to this miracle mission we've been on, church. This whole, if not God, then who? We proved ourselves not to be able to do what needed to be done. Yeah. And so God showed up and he says, I'm going to lower the cost of this thing. I'm going to make it affordable for you. But isn't that what he does with our faith and our life? He says, you can't afford what's coming. You don't have the credit. You don't have the ability, but I do. And so we get to see how he's been working in our lives and in the church. It's a beautiful thing.
What were some of the hardest moments in the early days, and how did you see God's faithfulness through them?
For me, as a church planter, right, trying to get something off the ground, one of the hardest moments was trusting God in the funding, right, because everything costs something. We couldn't go into the high school for free. It cost something. But here's the thing. We didn't have any money. We were so small. And for me, it was trusting God in those moments that He's going to provide the resources. And the money was part of it.
I think for me, it was stepping out and doing something that I believed I was fully unequipped to do. And I didn't know how to do it, and I wasn't going to be able to do it. I mean, who was I? I was just a stay-at-home mom. And then realizing that God had been putting all of those things in me all along, and I didn't even know it. And it got me to the point where I had to just say, okay, God, just do it. I'll take the step you need me to take, and you have to do it through me.
I also remember I would drive to church, wherever church was, right? And then I'd wonder, were people going to show up? Where people are going to be there. I remember even in the living room, okay, it's getting close to the start of church time, and like our car's going to come. Who would come to a living room to go to church, right? And then the high school, I'd look and see, are there going to be cars there? Are people going to come? I remember those days in the summer when we couldn't meet in the large group instruction space, and we had to go to the cafeteria, and we'd have like 25 people in this cavernous.
If 25.
Yeah, in this cavernous cafeteria, and just, we made it work. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
What God did.
What would you say to the next generation of leaders and members who will call this building home?
I would say, treat it like your home. We say every Sunday, we say, welcome home, right? Now, this is our home away from home because, of course, our ultimate home is heaven. But treat this like your home. Be excited to be here. Invite your friends here. Spend time here. Bring your family here. This is your family here.
Yeah, kind of like in your living room at home and in your dining room at home, right? You share meals together, you talk together. Somebody's got to clean the dishes, somebody's got to cook the meal, and they're serving. And I just always have found success in my personal life and my relationship with you, my wife, with my family is engaging. Right, and here at Refuge Church, you can engage serve on a crew, connect in a crew, and just make this place your home. Well, church, what a journey it's been, and to think we really are just getting started. But thank you from our heart for trusting us, for going on the journey with us, for allowing me to be vulnerable in moments and say, sometimes I don't have the answers and I don't know where we're going, but I'm telling you, this has prepared me, has given me great confidence to not just say, okay, we have arrived, but to be able to take a breath, recast vision, get ready for what's next with mental health, building counseling centers, reaching out, expanding parking lot, making building renovations. Like, we really are just getting started, and Yahweh is the way.